many other positive attributes besides this obvious, incredible beauty. I never get tired of it. It's a bumblebee magnet, and it's an important food source and pollen source for a number of bees. And in fact, I had a client just email me desperately, need poppy seeds, can't get any other late season source of pollen, because they were still blooming until quite recently. And this is the field that is just bumblebee land. If you want to just go sit in the middle of it, it's a hum and buzz. And this is a winter shot of the poppy foliage. It's a mounded shape, and we had given it a light mowing, which it quickly recovered from, and makes this beautiful ground cover through the winter. So just some design guidelines for restoration gardening. Nothing that isn't, I think, pretty apparent. Use local plant association models to create your palette, and definitely incorporate plants already on the site if you're lucky enough to have some. Choose a keynote plant, something that can be repeated for harmonious design. And work with the seasons, learn to love brown. Let the plants dictate how the landscape evolves. Recognize and respect the connection to the earlier inhabitants through the plants. And most of all, be open to change, because in so many cases, what I intended something to be for, it turned out to be for something else. Like a client of ours, he wanted a quail habitat garden. And we also put up some nesting boxes, which turned into bumblebee nests. And he really liked that, and he said, there's always something new to find. Just very simply, that is how life is for him now. He's quite elevated, but there's always something new to find. This is the green hair streak butterfly. I recently was at a conference for the Green Hair Streak Butterfly Association project. In San Francisco, their goal is to bring together two populations of the green hair streak butterfly, which is almost extinct, but to bring together these two populations to ensure their genetic viability. So they're asking people to plant, among other things, the Eriogonum latifolium, the chalk buckwheat. And it's certainly no hardship to plant this beautiful small plant. So it is the host plant for the green hair streak and many other butterflies, some other butterflies as well. So at this, one of the ways that they build this meeting where I gave a talk was they asked me to talk about sandy soil, because people were bringing in, rich soil, and they had sandy soil, and I've always thought the sandy soil was a great gift. So this is one of the plants I use as an example, this Menzelia levicalis. It's wrong on your slide list. Are you actually using your slide list? I hope so, because I had to control myself to stick to it. It was very painful. But in this one regard, I just had to change it and include this, and also mention that the seed of this blazing star was important indigenous food that when they made into these big cakes, a friend of mine actually ate one, and it tastes like peanut butter. And this was another example of so-called poor or lean or sandy soil. And last time I was here, and I try to go every year, the Carrizo Plains, I was walking through a field like this, and I realized that I was walking through a grain field. The indigenous peoples use the wildflower seeds as grain, and I was walking through an unfertilized, unpesticided, lean soil, unmowed, unplanted, unweeded grain field. So I just wanted to point that out. And also in the other, wow, doesn't really look like that from one of the components is gold fields, and also Another very sandy soil that has incredibly beautiful plants is in Joshua Tree, and again the gold fields, the Lasthenia californica, which was extremely important grain for many tribes. I'm sorry, I can't resist saying those kinds of things. And this was another aspect of my proving how much I love sandy soils, that I brought some in and put it in a bed that we made out of recycled sidewalk. And gosh, so if you have any recycled sidewalk, I'll take it. And I'm so excited about the sandy soil, I can't decide what to put in it. But when I started my garden, I thought it would be coastal bluff plants and dune plants. They were so showy, and I planted them, but they kind of got taken over, and I learned that the land said, no, this is coastal scrub. You're a third of a mile from the bluff, and so it's no longer those plants. But it turned out to be a lovely plant community to live with and much to learn, and it has many advantages. For one thing, it grows fast, reaches maturity quickly, and it doesn't give you forest giants to contend with, to scare you during storms. And it's turned out to be a great journey. And it's shared by this guy, the wren tit, who is called California's native son because his range pretty much coincides with the California floristic province. He's the most sedentary bird. I think the most sedentary bird, in that he, in his life, can travel as little as 1,300 feet. So, when I left this morning, I was leaving, walking to the car, and I heard the wren tit, this distinctive call that even I, a lame birder, can distinguish. And I have noticed that in our town, the guy who writes about wren tits for the Birds of North America, is an ornithologist with the Point Reyes Bird Observatory, he also has, so anyway, they are married for 12, they have one mate for life. They can live as long as 12 years. And so I noticed that this ornithologist also has a very good marriage. And he does eat poison oak berries, and it has been speculated by the same ornithologist, I heard a weird echo, that they are not breeding anymore down here in the South Peninsula because the poison oak has been removed. Their nest is made out of the bark of Artemisia californica, and they bind it together with spider webs, which makes me just want to comment on how birds depend on spiders, both to eat spiders and then for the duct tape that they make. So this is coyote bush, two kinds. No, that's just, those are both the shrub coyote bush and some wildflowers. And then behind it, well, we call it the Bolinas hedge, but it's a coastal hedge. And this is the bush tit, another bird that is easy enough even for me, and they are famous for their nest, which is about that long, and has even been known to incorporate a sock. And so Artemisia californica is also used in their nest. So you've already heard about Artemisia californica, but this is one of my favorite cultivars, and I don't usually use cultivars because I'm a seed business. So, but this one I love, this Artemisia Canyon Gray. I don't know if Bart is responsible for inventing that.
No.
But it's from, oh, it is. I mean, the Santa Barbara Botanic Garden. Excuse me, so. But it's very useful. This is subsoil from a little pond, and it just grows over it beautifully. And the sword fern you've probably seen, extremely easy and tough. And its leaves also are used in nests. And you've also seen lots of monkey flowers, so I'll just say that, of course, the hummingbirds use it. And this is the third bird that even a non-birder could recognize in a coastal scrub garden, the white-crowned sparrow, which is the loveliest of singers. And it's known that from my house to Bass Lake in the seashore, they have a different dialect. So like every 3 miles, they change dialects, and they learn their dialects from the adult males around them when they're growing up. And another one of the beautiful ferns that I found grow really well, the goldback fern, as part of the coastal scrub. I see it growing at the base of coyote bush. And this is a hedge with a trellis in it, and so this hedge has become so important to me. For one thing, in my town, everyone puts up these redwood fences, which are such a horrible use of forest products, when I would rather, and I try to use, and convince my clients to use, invisible fences, and then just build this hedge around. So it gives us privacy, because even though we're a small town, we all love each other, we can't stand to see each other most of the time. So, up down here, you could make such a beautiful hedge out of the hollyleaf cherry, the toyon, the elderberry, the mahonia, and the poison oak. And this is one of our hedge ingredients. This is Myrica californica, which has become ubiquitous. Suddenly everyone is planting Myrica californica. It's been sometimes this far apart. So I've been in an old Myrica californica grove, and they get 60 feet tall and 30 feet wide. So we'll see how that works out. But in one day, a flock of yellow-rumped warblers can just get all these berries. It's a great sight. And of course, I only grow the local Ceanothus dorsiflorus from seeds, and boy, do we have some great seedlings. So if you ever want to come and get some cuttings, I might give you some. Look at this. Anyway, I have to jab cultivar people. I don't know why. And this is the coffee berry, and it just shows how, I just want to show the curve, the mounding habit that most of these coastal plants have, partly because the coastal wind plants do better if they have a rounded habit to filter it through rather than if they're a tall, erect plant to smash against. And it's just easy to make it beautiful. And let's hear it for deciduous plants. Here's the California hazel. It's a big part of my life because they're turning up all the time. And they can be, they're used by indigenous basket makers because you can cut them to the ground and they'll make these long, straight wands. And we get lots of hazelnuts. So they are smaller than the European filbert, but I think sweeter. This is a project that we've been engaged in with Western Commons called Fostering Forbs. And I started to be extremely concerned about all the forbs, the low-growing plants that are being swamped out locally. They may not be listed or be getting protection, but the local extinctions are just stunning. And so I started, trying to talk it up and get them into landscapes and sidewalks and such. So usually what happens is I've collected something and I'm growing it out, and it turns out to be this incredible plant that's, so I thought I was doing this favor to the forb, but actually it's a favor to me, and it ends up being just, a beautiful garden plant. And as well that they think, I'm not sure where this came from, but for each plant there are 10 insects that need that plant. So